Jill to hide under the bed with her phone and keep it by her, and then she climbs out the window trying to, distract Ghostface and have him run the wrong way towards her so that Jill can escape. And by that whole time, Trevor's nowhere to be fucking found. So it's looking like he is, again, a red herring or a possible suspect as to being, one of the Ghostface killers, if there is more than one, in this movie. He looks like he's a possibility for a killer there. So that whole thing happens, and then you get a scene just a little bit later that's very reminiscent of the first Scream movie. You get Kirby and Sidney running and hiding in the basement because they can't find Jill. Jill did not stay under the bed like she's fucking supposed to. And they go hide, and then all of a sudden there's she turns on the porch light or looks outside, and Charlie is looks like he's beat the fuck up some. He's a little bloody, and he's duct taped to a fucking chair on her back porch, which is very, very, it's parallels and is a perfect, homage to the first Scream film with Stephen Orth dies, It was the same kind of situation. So Ghostface calls and asks questions, and she's freaking the fuck out. She answers the first one, and it's wrong, about the first slasher movie. Name the movie that started the slasher craze, and he gives four answers, Yeah, Peepin' Tom. He gives four answers, and Peepin' Tom's not it. And he's like, none of the above. It was Peepin' Tom, 1960, so, and then all this other information. And then she's like, ask me more. Ask me another one, please. Please give me another chance. Don't kill him. And so he starts asking murder weapons. And I love when he gets to fucking Freddy Krueger and she answers razor fingers. That's funny to me. That's what they are, but, it was just funny to hear that. And then
whatever she said, they had something else written originally, and then whatever she said, they decided to go with.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was, I guess, sort of ad-lib there,
Yeah.
Happy cinematic accident, or whatever. So she answers the questions, and then he's like, the final question is, name the groundbreaking film that was a remake of so-and-so, and she doesn't even give him a fucking chance to answer. She just starts rattling off all the remakes. And she nails several, but she misses a couple. But he doesn't say anything. And she thinks she's won. She's like, yes, I've won. So she goes outside to undo the door. And right about that point, fucking Charlie's trying to get in before she finds it taped up, but she won't let him in because Sidney says if you don't trust him and you don't know, don't let him in. Good advice. Very good advice, but, still it earns the chance that, he really isn't the killer or, isn't anybody that she can't trust. So she runs outside after the fact and after she answers the questions and starts untaping him and said, I fucking won. I fucking showed him I won. And then she's like, I'm so sorry, this, that, and the other. And Charlie fucking stabs her. Right in the fucking gut. Yeah. Stabs the fuck out of her. And she's like, stupid bitch. It's 4 years and you just noticed me now, you stupid bitch. And then he, digs the knife down into her fucking side. And then she collapses. And all this blood starts running out, which appears to be CGI blood, actually. It looks very CGI'd. But you don't know if she dies or not right then because you kind of just don't know. She's still writhing on the ground in pain and shit when he runs off. Sydney sees all that, and then right as she's about to run away, she gets decked by the fucking Ghostface killer and gets, hit. And then that killer removes their mask, and it's fucking Jill.
Mm-hmm.
It's Jill. It's just Jill and fucking Charlie this whole fucking time. So we're back to
they haven't been in too many scenes together.
Yeah, true. But, there's dialogue that supports the fact that they work together shortly after this, because there's details and, things of that nature that would verify it. But, yeah, it's the first time since Scream 2 that there's been two killers in a movie because, last show we talked about Scream 3, and Scream 3 only had one killer, Roman Bridger, Sidney's half-brother. So this one has two killers, and it's, unexpected ones. It's Charlie and it's Jill, and they go into all this explanation about why, and then they pull Trevor out of a closet, which is very similar to the way they did Neil in the first film, and then fucking Jill confirms exactly what we thought. She said, you thought your boyfriend was shitty, Sydney? Here's one that fucks you, dumps you, and doesn't even make you famous. And then she starts kicking the shit out of him. And he's all fucked up anyway. And then she pulls the tape off his mouth or whatever, and he's like, what the fuck, Jill? I loved you. And she's like, shut the fuck up already. Am I the only one that doesn't like that? She rolls her eyes, and that shit just looks fake as fuck to me. Does not look like something somebody would say at that moment.
No, but, yeah.
Yeah, but she ends up, after that, she shoots him in his, private area. And he starts squalling, and I mean, I guess I would too, right? I mean, there's a vein and like an artery that runs through there, so ow, definitely. Definitely bad for him. And then she fucking plugs him in the head, and the way that they show the blood and like I guess the brain matter and stuff coming out the back of his head and hitting the floor is really cool looking. The spatter is really, really cool and very realistic looking. I like the effects in this one. And then after that, we get more talk from Charlie and Sydney, or Charlie, Sydney, and Jill, and Jill and Charlie say, well, in this one, the geek does get the girl, which is obviously a reference to Randy, and his predicament with how it felt about Sydney and stuff, because in the first film and second film, you still get the feeling he still has a little bit of a thing for Sid, kind of like an unrequited love sort of thing. I think Dewey calls him on that in the second one. I'm certain he does, actually, because it's a pretty funny scene. But, yeah, so you get that explanation, and then you get an homage to the original two killers. You get them mentioned because Charlie says old school, just like Billy and Stu. So they get mentioned by name. And then the situation mimics their situation because Jill and Charlie are supposed to give each other superficial wounds to make it look like Trevor was the killer. And they were just unfortunate, victims, but survivors while everyone else had died. So it's very, very similar to that. And then, so he even says some of the same things, like, get it up, come on, girl, get it up, baby, get it up, and repeat some of the same kind of shit that Stu said. And instead of stabbing him where she's supposed to, she stabs him in the fucking heart. And he's like, that's not the way we rehearsed it.
That's not what we rehearsed. Yeah, he's fucking dead.
Yeah. They have a little kiss beforehand where he's like, the geek gets the girl, and it's just, for whatever reason, that whole idea of them two being together kind of makes me gag. I don't know why. It just does. So I was like, ugh. And then, so he dies, after, getting stabbed and such. And I like his death, though. He kind of like goes into almost like a seizure, like his body starts convulsing. And his death is really cool looking. So then you've got Sydney, and Sydney gets, she's been stabbed, and she gets stabbed again by Jill, and she's talking about how she wants to be, the star. She's like, you always thought you were so fucking special, and you get this whole thing, and she's just a little fucking wannabe, basically YouTube sensation. She wants to be immortalized and become famous for doing nothing. She wants everything handed to her on a silver fucking platter. Which sounds like, some teenagers and some young people, younger generation these days, some of them are like that. And that's what it sounds like. And it's just like, wow, so you just don't believe it. And then you start to really believe it. Because she changes, and she's like, I told somebody last night that even I started to believe them. And it's ridiculous. And this one I didn't see coming. Sort of like I didn't see Roman. I kind of saw Mickey coming. I was surprised by Mrs. Loomis. I didn't really see Billy and Stu. I thought maybe they were red herrings. And then with this one, I was completely surprised that it was Jill and Charlie.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect on this one because it's like, fuck, they set the precedent of two killers, then one, and now what? You get two again. And it was pretty impressive. And this whole part where Jill starts beating the shit out of herself, I fell in love with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's hot.
Yeah.
I didn't think she was hot before that, but when she started doing that, I did.
It says all kind of weird shit about you, bud.
Yep. Yep.
But so she does this self-mutilation thing, and she fucks herself up.
It's like Fight Club or Liar Liar, dude. It's
yeah,
so funny.
Yeah, and I love how when she stabs herself in the shoulder, she's like, "Oh fuck!" And she kicks the fucking she kicks the table, desk or table, and so when Dewey gets there, he and Judy come in, and the whole house is fucking just there's bodies everywhere, blood, and fucking just destruction. And Sid and apparently Jill gets carted off, and as she's carted off, all these fucking reporters are trying to talk to her, and she's going to the hospital, and you're like, wow, that's all kind of fucked up. And she's kind of like smiling and sort of enjoying her fucking like time as a star. And then she gets to the hospital, and after all that shit, she finds out that Sydney's not dead. She was supposed to have died from those wounds. She thought she would, but she's still hanging on, you know. And Dewey says, it's still touch and go. She may not remember much. You may have to help her with that, you know. And then she's like, you know, well, maybe I can write a book, you know. Maybe, you know, your wife can help me, you know, since we have matching wounds, you know. And Dewey doesn't really catch that at first. And then later on he catches, he's like talking to Gail. And she's like, how did she know that I had a wound? And then that's how she fucking stupidly outed herself as the killer. Because only the killer would know that, you know, in such an intimate place and know exactly where it was. So she runs, and so Dewey's like shit and runs back, and she's like, you know, he says he loves her, and she's like, get them up, you know, end it, finish it. So she goes back, and he goes back, and Dewey gets fucking hit in the head with a fucking, like, bedpan, and Jill beats the fuck out of him.
Yeah, she does. She knocks his ass out.
Yeah, it fucks him up. And then tries to fuck Sid up, pulls and tears it to stitches and shit. And then right after that, fucking Gail comes in and, you know, catches it and everything and sees everything. And then, oh, God, Judy comes in later when fucking Jill shoots it. She steals Judy's gun and tries to shoot at Gail. And fucking Judy comes in and saves her, takes the bullet. And so you're thinking, well, shit, that's the end of Judy. And it just, that whole scene is all fucked up. And her and Sid fight, and then Sid, like, shocks her, you know, after, you know, she gets Gail to come out and says, you know, can I at least say one more thing? And she's like, what? You want to, you know, what are you going to say? What is it? You know, what?
Clear.
And she says, clear. And then right about that time, Sydney says, clear. And then she shocks her and shit. And then, well, you think that's it for Jill, but you notice after, you know, she's trying to help Dewey and Gail up that Jill's coming up behind her again. And this time she fucking gets the gun and shoots Jill right in the fucking chest. And she's like, you forgot the rule about remakes. Don't fuck with the original. You know, and that is sort of how that ends there. And then you know, Judy's fine. She gets up and she had a bulletproof vest on. And then she fucking collapses again. So that's kind of goofy. And then, and then Dewey and Gail kind of get up and try to recover. And outside the hospital, all the news outlets are reporting her as the hero because they have no fucking idea what transpires. And it kind of ends that way. You're like, well, they have no fucking idea what really fucking happened. And that I think that's a commentary on media. You know, how they were, you know, things are reported in the news, but they're not exactly right. So
I do too.
Yeah, I think that really speaks to that. But that's the end of the movie. That's how it ends, you know. It ends on a rock song, and you get your credits, and you know, no jump scare like there was at the end of Scream, the first one. You kind of see a glimpse of the ghost face right before the credits start at the end of the first one, and then there's stuff at the end of the second one, I think. But then you don't really get anything here. It just goes right to the credits. And that's the end
I
of
wonder
the
what happened to Patrick Dempsey from Part 3.
Yeah, right? That's kind of an unanswered question.
Oh, well, I didn't need him. I didn't care about him. So, but it's just, you know, makes you wonder what happened there. But I'm sure Sid probably had intimacy issues. Vic gives this movie 4 chainsaws. He kept getting cut off, and he's driving, apparently. But anyway, he gave it 4 chainsaws. I give it 4 machetes. The only thing that I have a criticism about the movie about, really, is that there are too many survivors in this movie. Sydney, Gail, Dewey, Jill or Judy rather.